Hello and thank you for joining us right here on Luntha Television. It's time for news and with me, Jacqueline Saidi. First, the headlines.
Spain Satellites mission launches Pope Francis's writings of words of hope into space. President Chiguera says that separation of power is key in the implementation of Malawi 2063. The Association of Persons with Albinism in Malawi faults government's commitment towards administration of justice for cases involving people with albinism. And in other news, Kenya pushes for direct talks with Sudan rivals.
We have these and more. Stay with us. A satellite carrying the nanobook, which with the words of hope by Pope Francis, given in St. Peter's Square in 2020 when humanity was facing the most acute phase of the pandemic, has departed from California's Vandenberg base. Once in orbit, the CubeSat, made by the Polytechnic University of Turin, Italy, will broadcast excerpts of the Pope's messages of hope, which can be picked up by radio enthusiasts around the world. According to Monsignor Lucio Adrian Ruiz, Secretary of the Dicastery for Communication and creator of the Space Satellites project, the Pope's message in space is a sign and image of tenderness and blessing for the world. We have a Vatican News report being read by Bernard Wanza.
The rocket carrying a satellite with a tiny nanobook took off from Vandenberg Space Base in California. It contains words of hope of Pope Francis promoting global unity in the face of the pandemic, words the Pope gave alone in a rain-soaked St. Peter's Square on 27th March 2020. The nanobook, made by the CNRS Institute of Photonics and Nanotechnology, is a small silicone plate roughly 2 by 2 millimeters that contains a binary code engraving of the Pope's words and photos from the 2020 statue orbits in St. Peter's Square during the height of the pandemic, as featured in the book Why Are You Afraid? Do You Still Have No Faith? By publisher Libreria Etris Vaticana. Pope Francis' words had to be translated into a series of zeros and ones because it was impossible to adapt traditional printing fonts to such small sizes. Each hole engraved at the one character, the zero, remains a blank space, is less than 1,000th the thickness of a human hair. After the launch, the satellite, whose high-tech systems were blessed by Pope Francis last 29 March, reached space via the Falcon 9 carrier rocket from SpaceX, and thanks to the ION orbital transfer vehicle from Italian company D-Orbit, will be positioned 525 kilometers above the Earth in synchrony with the Sun's rotation. It will then fly over every point on the Earth's surface at the same local solar time. Each time it rises, those connected to the 437.5 MHz frequency can be reached with the Pope's words of comfort and encouragement on the journey of hope. Speaking on this, Monsignor Lucio Adrian Ruiz, who is the Secretary of the Dicastery for Communication and creator of the Space Satellites project, Pope Francis' message in space is a sign and image of tenderness and blessing for the world. He said following the launch, the project has become a reality.
The United Nations High Commissioner, UNHCR, for refugees was hoodwinked into thinking that the Malawi government mercilessly violated some sections of human rights when relocating asylum seekers back to the Lega refugee camp. UNHCR Regional Director for the Southern Region, Valentina Topsowa, disclosed this on Tuesday during a closed-door meeting with government officials led by Minister of Homeland Security Kenneth Sekalingoma. A team of UNHCR is in the country to assimilate the refugees relocation exercise, which has so far sent back to Dzaleka over 18,000 asylum seekers. Herbert Karanda compiled a report which is being read by Vincent Kwakwara.
The visit comes barely days after the refugees body had spoken against the exercise, claiming that it infringes the Refugee Act. In an interview, UNHCR Regional Director of the Southern Region, Valentino Tapsoba, said the body was told that refugees were kept in prisons after being manned in various locations. Tapsoba said the meeting aimed at identifying the gaps and formulate ways on how the two groups can work together in ensuring that the refugees' rights were protected. Ironically, the director said the Commission will also lend its financial support during the exercise.
Definitely, we had a meeting with Honorable Minister of Homeland Security, and we came to the conclusion that we have to definitely work together for the move, getting people from the town, from the rural areas and so forth back to Dzaleka.
On his part, Sekalingoma described the meeting as successful, saying it has wiped out all negative thoughts the international community had on Malawi's government's relocation exercise. He said the commissioner has committed to assist the Malawi government in relocating Dzaleka refugee camp from Dowa to Chitipa district.
We have 51,000 that are refugees that we need to protect in Malawi. But the rest that we don't know, those people, they are not concerned with. So it's something that we are on the same table, because we are moving out and want to head count and see who are real refugees and who are not. So that's what we are doing. And we have agreed, and they have seen the way we are doing it, and they were concerned about other people that we have them in prison.
During the meeting, Sekalingoma was awarded with 2 medals from UNHCR and the government of Rwanda for his bravado shown in apprehending Rwanda warlords that were involved in historical genocide. Last week, Sekalingoma claimed that 522 asylum seekers associated with criminal acts, including 55 people involved in a genocide in Rwanda, have been hiding in Malawi and that they changed their identities. Government of South Africa arrested Rwanda genocide mastermind Frujasi Kaishima, who obtained a Malawian passport.
The Association of Persons with Albinism in Malawi, APAM, has bemoaned what it calls slow progress in the administration of justice for cases involving people with albinism. Making the remarks during a press conference held in commemoration of the International Albinism Awareness Day, which in Malawi is being celebrated under the theme Inclusive Justice System for People with Albinism, APAM President Yang Muhamba has noted that since 2014, the country has registered about 211 cumulative cases, of which the 111 ongoing cases, 28 are in court for hearing, whilst 83 are under investigation. Tanduin Zumara with the details.
Whilst appreciating efforts taken to expedite conclusion of cases involving people with albinism and meting out stiffer sentences to the convicts, APAM President Yang Muhamba says it has transpired that administration of justice in such cases is marred by numerous challenges. According to Muhamba, a situation analysis they conducted with support from Disability Rights Fund notes that among other challenges relating to prosecution of cases include victims and relations of the victims withdrawing cases from courts, poor investigation in some cases, and lack of a legislation on witness protection. He went on to point out challenges relating to legal and policy frameworks, amongst which is the slow disbursement of funds for the implementation of National Action Plan on People with Albinism in Malawi, noting that stakeholders are having challenges with accessing them. Muhamba also bemoaned the revision of the 2006 National Policy on Equalization of Opportunities for Persons with Disabilities, saying since its validation, it is yet to be adopted by the Cabinet.
There is also an issue of lack of financial support towards the judicial system, especially the handling of cases. Most of cases delayed due to lack of funding, limited funds. The bureaucracies in the funding systems, they hinder the speed of delivery of judgment in most of the cases.
Making her remarks, Minister of Gender Honorable Jen Sandeza MP has emphasized on the need to prioritize inclusion in the administration of justice at all levels as the country is implementing the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals by exploring the barriers facing persons with albinism in accessing justice from time to time and consider overcoming them so that the people with albinism contribute equally to the country's development.
I have been engaging the Chief Justice, to take, special attention to issues of court cases that, in regards to people with albinism. So we are in engagement.
This year's main event to mark the commemoration of the International Albinism Awareness Day in Malawi will be a symposium to take place on the 30th of June. On December 18th in 2014, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution establishing this International Albinism Awareness Day to bring visibility to the genetic condition of albinism, as well as to people with albinism, their achievements, and the difficulties they continue to face on a daily basis in many countries. The global theme for 2023 International Albinism Awareness Day is Inclusion is Strength, and it focuses on the importance of inclusion of not just people of all races and ethnicities who are affected by albinism, but also the young and old population. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Tandiwe Mzumara.
Remember, you're still watching news on Luntha Television, coming to you live from Bishop Navi Media Center. Stay there, we'll be back after the break.
Personal growth to business solutions, there is no limit to what you can imagine. It's time to reimagine banking. Centenary Bank, our bank.
Welcome back. For those of you who have just joined us, it's news time right here on Luntha Television, and let's have a look at the headlines.
Spain Satella's mission launches Pope Francis's writings of words of hope into space. President Chiguera says separation of power is key in the implementation of Malawi 2063. The Association of Persons with Albinism in Malawi faults government's commitment towards administration of justice for cases involving people with albinism. And in other news, Kenya pushes for direct talks with Sudan rivals.
Moving forward, the National Conference on Separation of Powers has come to a fruitful close today with a national consensus to view the doctrine of separation of powers not as an end in itself but just a means to that end. Both local and international delegates have participated in moderated panel discussions where they have explored various issues related to the separation of powers as outlined in the Constitution of Malawi. President Lazarus Chakwera has since emphasized on the significance of maintaining separate arms of government to ensure implementation of the Malawi 2063 without interference and intimidation. Bernard Manza reports.
The conference, which started on Monday, has been closed today, Tuesday, at the Bingo International Convention Center in Lilongwe, where all heads of arms of government, namely the executive, legislature, and judiciary, participated. President Lazarus Chakwera, who opened the conference on Monday and also presided over the closing earlier this afternoon, singled out the significance of separation of powers as one key component in the implementation of Malawi 2063. According to Chakwera, the aspirations to become a middle-income economy by 2063 can only be fulfilled when the executive, legislature, and judiciary adhere to the constitutional imperative of independence and accountability. He said government will use the resolutions of the conference to build a better Malawi for all. Chakwera also took time to emphasize that it is unconstitutional for people and politicians to believe that the president holds ultimate power, as the constitution upholds the doctrine of separation of powers. In his remarks, Chief Justice Rezini Mskamanda stated that the separation of power conference plays a crucial role in governing and protecting democracy in the country. He called upon Malawians to stop thinking of judicial independence as protection of judges, but rather that it is public property. Mskamanda further highlighted that judicial independence is for public good, as it offers the serenity that citizens will be treated fairly when they go to court. Speaker of the National Assembly, Catherine Gotani Hara, also emphasized that the conference exemplifies the need for each arm of government to function separately based on their status and responsibilities. She also noted that the conference has provided a robust platform for checks and balances, adding that the Constitution of Malawi stipulates the importance of separation of powers as an instrumental tool in safeguarding the democracy. Several heads of ministries, departments, and agencies, including the private sector, the donor community, were among the participants at the conference. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, I am Bernard Manza.
Find Your Feet, a local NGO dedicated to working with poor rural communities to create lasting solutions to poverty, has challenged Balaka District cash transfer beneficiaries to embrace the savings culture in order to be self-reliant after they graduate from government program. The project coordinator for Balaga in the Ncheu, Jean Chitule, made the remarks on Monday at Traditional Authority Sawali during a field visit under their 2 years project that is being funded by Irish government through UNICEF. She said the beneficiaries should embrace the program to be self-reliant after graduation, since they have earmarked about 6,700 social cash transfer households. Andrew Nandolo compiled a report which is being read by Jean Bernard.
According to Chitule, the project is on course and they hope to reach out to about 6,700 households at the end in August 2024. She admitted some mobility challenges but assured the community-based trainers that the issue was already brought to their attention and discussions are at an advanced stage with donors to map a way forward on how best they can be assisted.
Yeah, so far we are doing well. If we look at what are the intended outputs of the project, we are on course, and most of the things that we plan to do so far, they have been done. The project is for 2 years. It started in September 2022 and is going to end in August 2024. So we have clocked 9 months. We are in the 10th month, and looking at our plans, we are on course.
Nsamala community-based trainer chairperson Bernard Zagwa said interventions by Find Your Feet.
We are working with the Find Your Feet here in our area. Find Your Feet is targeting the beneficiaries for Ntula Bakomo. We call it social cash transfer. The aim of this project is to encourage and motivate these beneficiaries to have a saving habit, because they don't believe themselves that they can manage to save money or they can be reliable on themselves. But by coming of this project, we are encouraging these beneficiaries that they can do anything on their own. They can manage to save money. They can manage to have small businesses. So it is very important to have this project, because we are changing the mindset of these beneficiaries so that they can be independent on themselves.
With support from the Irish government through UNICEF, Find Your Feet is implementing a 2-year project in the districts of Balaka and Ncheu to a tune of $200,000 United States dollars. Currently, Find Your Feet is reaching 303 groups of social cash transfer in Balaka and Ncheu.
Luntha has expressed his country's commitment to a face-to-face meeting with the warring generals in Sudan in order to resolve the crisis there. He said Kenya, as the chair of the regional quartet of countries on Sudan, that also includes Ethiopia, Somalia, and South Sudan, commits to meet the two parties face-to-face to find a lasting solution. The conflict has led to the deaths of hundreds of people. We have a BBC report being read by Bernard Mansa.
Fighting has been raging in Sudan since 15th April between the army led by Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces RSF led by former Deputy Military Chief Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, also known as Hemedit. President Ruto said the quartet leaders would in the next 3 weeks meet to begin the process of an inclusive national dialogue in Sudan. In 2 weeks, a humanitarian corridor would also be established to allow the distribution of aid, according to a statement by the President's office after a summit of the regional bloc IGAD in Djibouti. Saudi Arabia and the US